Hey guys, it is Last Mohican coming at you with a video of, you guessed it, of course, Crusader Kings 3. I'm sorry that I strayed away for a little while, was really busy with work, but as soon as Crusader Kings 3 came out, I had to do it. I had to play. You know how it is. Been eagerly awaiting this game. It's been 9 long years since the Crusader Kings 2 came out, so had to immediately give this a try. And there's a lot of new changes with it. One thing I noticed is that there's a lot of people asking, how do you even play this game? And so I wanted to just take a quick tutorial, whether you're completely new to the game, you saw it on Steam, you had to pick it up, or if you're a seasoned Crusader Kings 2 vet and just want to get a quick idea as to what some of the things are, some of the ways you have to start out the game. This will probably be a little bit of a series with a few other things touching on, increasing army size, religion, how to handle that, just a lot of things that are new to the game or a little bit different than what we're maybe used to. So as always, let's start out pretty easy. I always like going as a minor king, so we're going to be King Rodri of the Kingdom of Gwynedd in Wales. So let's get to it. Let's get started. Now, immediately as we see, there's 3 things that pop up. No lifestyles chosen. Our heir is unmarried. We are above our domain limit, which we see here. We have 7 holdings, but we can only hold 4. And then we have 6 issues. We have a few knights. We can clear wars. Our son can marry. So let's tackle it from left to right. For lifestyle chosen, what this means is that your lifestyle is how do you kind of want your ruler to tackle their rulership. You have diplomacy, martial stewardship, which is kind of like the economy, intrigue, which is murder, mystery kind of thing, and then learning, which is truly a man of the arts, being more intelligent. Because we had a martial education, we are going to pick the martial lifestyle trait. Now, we can't pick anything from the tree yet. We haven't gained any points in that. But what we can do is choose a focus. As we can already see, we already have our gallantry, which is closely tied to chivalry. We haven't started anything with strategy, but we do have something with overseer. I'm actually going to go with the strategist route. I personally love this tree, so we're going to start with that. Going to hit escape or close out, whichever you prefer. Next is that our heir is unmarried. So let's get that crack-a-lackin'. And as we can see here, Crusader Kings 3, wow, a little slip of the tongue there, does a really good job of saying, okay, you want to get your heir married. The below list here from top to bottom, relevance is kind of more of like who is the most powerful potential spouse your son or daughter can marry. As we can see here, we have West Francian daughters and also Asturias and Navarra, which is basically we have Spanish and French. Now, because West Francia is incredibly powerful, we are going to take them. You don't click here on the portrait, you click here and there, this little box. A little weird, but just left click, boom. Then we say send proposal. And they say it will accept. All good. One thing that's also a little bit different right now is that I'm doing kind of a live recording rather than making a video and then dubbing it over. So apologies if I have any slip of the tongues or whatever. But wanted to make sure I was progressing along correctly with what I wanted to show you. All right. Now let's tackle our domain limit. As we can see, we are 7 over. One thing we're going to do is, I'm not going to hand out all 3 land holdings. I'm relatively certain we can increase one on our own, but I think Shrewsbury and, oh god, this is the only problem with me choosing Welsh territory is that I am not going to, how do you even begin to say that? Anyways, Landrinidad and Shrewsbury, that one's easy, are going to go to a vassal. Now, this next aspect I'm going to talk about is a very important part of Crusader Kings, which is handling and dealing with your vassals. It is something that was incumbent on every medieval ruler. You couldn't just rule an entire kingdom by yourself. You had to delegate it out to people. Now, let's look at our court, because we don't have any vassals, so we don't have any means of just handing this land out to people who could have already received it. Let's see here. We have a common physician, standing diplomat, courtier. Nothing too crazy in regards to someone that would make a good vassal. If a good vassal, especially one that's just brand spanking new, is someone who has the content trait. Content traits mean that not only are they going to just like you more, but they're also less likely to conspire against you. You know, form factions with other vassals to try to overthrow your rule or check your power. But this dude, not even gonna pretend or try. He has a really high diplomacy rate, so I have some use for him down the road. I'm gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna grant you titles. Now what you need to do is just click on where you want them to go. So we're gonna provide him both Shrewsbury and that guy. So let's say grant titles, and boom. So we can see right now he is kind of set up. We have that little demarcation of it, but we still have our full kingdom. You know, it may look like things are split off, but that's not exactly how it is. It's just showing his lines of power. Now, what we wanted to do was, he had a really high diplomacy. So let's go over what goes on in the council. The council is your group of very powerful people in your realm that help deal with internal and at times external affairs. First, and this is new in Crusader Kings 3, is you have your wife. Your wife has the ability to kind of assist in things. So we have options here. She can either assist us, which basically gives us like a baseline bump in all of our attributes, and I should go over that real quick. Every person has 5 main attributes that you have skills in. Diplomacy, which is basically like how much do people like you. A higher diplomacy skill means that more people are going to have a baseline liking of you. Your martial skill is going to be how good you are at being a leader. This not only helps with the size of your army, but also your ability to perform on the battlefield. Next is your stewardship. This is kind of like your economy. What this kind of leans to is, you know, not only your domain size, but then also how much money you get. There's a few ways that this can be affected. Your intrigue is kind of like your cloak and dagger. You know, how are you going to plot against people, whether that's maybe killing a powerful vassal or a nosy brother. There's a few different ways to go about this. Your learning is just overall how intelligent you are. As we can see, our guy is not the sharpest bulb in the warehouse, but he's doing okay. Now, what this also does, it affects our piety, and you know, generally it has either, if you know too much in the medieval times, it can hurt your stance with the Catholic Church or with the church, or it can help you out. You never want to be too smart. Anyways, back to it. Now, as we can see, our queen here can either give us a baseline, which is just assist, and we have a 2 to 3 plus point bump, or we can have her help us out specifically. Now, I'm going to have her help me specifically with our domain. I'm hoping to bump this up to 5 to a limit of 5. So she's going to do that for me. Next, let's move on to the bishop. Our bishop has 3 options that he can really help us out with. First is religious relations. What that means is that not only is he going to help with our piety every month, but he's also going to help curry favor with the Pope, which always a good thing. Pope can help out in many different ways for Catholic rulers. Next is convert faith in county. What this means is, let's say we took over a county here that had followed a different faith. We can open that up real quick. I don't want to go into this too crazy in this video, but let's say we had taken this county. We would then have the ability to convert it from Asatru, which is kind of like Nordic, to Catholic. All right, back to it. Next is, and this is a little bit different from Crusader Kings 2, for those of us who are experienced at it, is it's now up to the bishop to fabricate claims on the county. Fabricating a claim, for those of you who are new, is essentially giving you the ability or the right to attack somebody. We don't have the means to just outright start attacking our neighbors if they are Catholic. We have to essentially create an excuse to do that. And for us to create that excuse, we have to utilize our bishop. Next is our Chancellor. Our Chancellor is kind of like our lead diplomat, so to speak. And he has a few main functions. First is foreign affairs, which is basically a prestige bump. He kind of has the ability to randomly improve our relations with people who are not inside our kingdom. Domestic affairs is where basically he will increase our vassals' opinions of us. Lastly is integrating title. This is something that will happen kind of farther down the lane in terms of kingdom or empire, but this has to deal with in terms of when we get really big, what kind of titles we own in terms of like whether you're the king of Mercia or Wessex or the king of England versus the king of Wales. Next is steward. As we can see, we don't have one, so I'll show you how to recruit somebody to fill the stewardship role. So a few things going on here. Now, we see that at the top of our list in terms of relevance is our vassal. Even though he is remarkably lower in stewardship skill, the reason why he's at the top is because he's a powerful vassal, meaning that they're saying, hey, even though he isn't the best for the role, you want to appease this guy. You want to make sure that he's doing okay, because otherwise he's going to be mad. He's going to try to plot against you. We're still not going to put him here at that role. We're going to put someone, looks like our son is actually pretty much up for the job. We'll put him in this role. What is also new and different, or slightly different, is we can see we can reassign, meaning that if we wanted to, we could reassign our marshal here to the stewardship position. We're not going to do that though. We're just going to assign our son. Next thing we're going to do is, because we realize that our vassal is a little bit honked off that he isn't on the council, we're going to move him in here. Boom. That's going to piss off the other guy, but right now, in terms of the small kingdom that we have, he doesn't really have a whole lot of sway in terms of intriguing against us. Next, though, and then we can see with our steward, sorry, kind of hopping over again, he can either collect taxes for us, increase the development in a county, which basically means help build stuff. You can build things in this game, or promote culture, meaning that if we have a different culture than we have different cultures, which we can see here. We have Anglo-Saxon and Welsh. If one of our counties, as we can see, does have a different culture, we can then have our steward promote in that county to make it Welsh. Next is our marshal. Our marshal is very important in terms of fielding armies, helping us out with all that fun jazz. There's three things he can do. First is organize levies. Your levies is going to be basically your overall army count. That's the big thing here. So he's going to be helping increase our size by, it looks like, 5% or 14, something like that. Next is he can train commanders. Commanders are going to basically be like your officers on the battlefield. And having a bunch of really good commanders is going to really ensure that you, maybe if you're outnumbered, you still fight effectively. So that's the other thing. The next is increased control of a county. If we had just recently conquered a county, he would be able to want to kind of exert control and integrate it into our kingdom. Our last but certainly not least is our spy master. These are the guys who have three main roles in dealing with court intrigue, basically meaning plots against you, plots that you're working on, or plots against other people. And so he can either help stop them by disrupting them, he can help support them, or he can find secrets. Finding secrets is basically figuring out if someone else is trying to kill somebody in your court. We're just going to keep him here at disrupting schemes. Basically, everyone here essentially has the role that I would like them in. So we're all good there. Now, the last thing I'll do is declare a war. As we can see, we have a few different things that we can do. We have a casus belli against our neighbors to the south here, Mr. Guan Ap Murig. Yeah, it's horrible. But we have a claim against this land right here of Cardigan, the Barony of Cardigan. And as we can see, they have a military strength somewhat similar to ours at 484. We have 681. So we don't have a good enough army yet to truly go against them. So what we're going to do is hold off a little bit. And as we can see, our son got married. I just kicked off the game. Our son got married. Alliance was formed. So now we have an alliance with West Francia. What also happened is because I hadn't started the game yet, and because we gave our vassal some land, and our wife is now helping us increase our domain size, we jumped up hugely in terms of our levy limit. That is where I can't stress enough about making sure that you are handing out counties to your vassals, because if you don't and you're over that limit, you're really going to hamstring yourself in this regards. So as we can see, we are now they are now vastly inferior to us, which is great. That's what I want to see. What we're going to do, declare war. I'm going to press my claim on Cardigan, hit declare war. Down here, there's a few different ways you can do this. You can either click the button here or go here, click raise all armies. We'll just do it here, so that's just a faster way. As we can see, our army is fully supplied, no attrition, elite quality. We're ready to rock and roll. We're just going to right click onto the county. We're going to try to catch his army right here. They're going to be a little annoying about it. Ooh, we got him. Boom. Now, the one thing that's different in Crusader Kings 3 than in Crusader Kings 2 is that in Crusader Kings 2, every county just was like one unit. There was no distinction between the different land holdings in there. But in Crusader Kings 3, there are. Now, what we're really concerned about is not the city, but really the castle of Cardigan. So let's go there. Boom. Another decisive victory there. Now it's time for the siege. We can't assault in Crusader Kings 3 because we have no siege engineers. We don't have any means to breach the walls. So all we can do is just siege the castle, which we did. They fell to us. We're going to enforce our demands. As we can see here, we will get the lordship of that. We'll get the city, some fame. Boom. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up here. It's been one of my longer videos for sure, but I figured it would be pretty useful for a lot of us. Ooh, make sure you hit disband here, and so your armies go away and you're not paying for them. But here we are. This is a pretty wide covering video on how to kind of really start out your kingdom. And that's what I'm really looking to do in terms of this. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm also learning this as I go as well. I'm certainly by no means an expert in this. But let me know what you think. If you liked what you saw, please hit that like button. Otherwise, I would love to have you hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much, guys. And as always, take it easy. It's Last Rohican.